Welcome back to the channel. Have you looked up at the night sky recently? You might think you are seeing stars. However, you are probably seeing satellites. Space is getting very crowded. It is no longer just a place for government agencies and astronauts. Billionaires and private corporations are taking over. Today, I want to talk about the privatization of orbit. I will give you a complete analysis of the new space economy. We will explore the laws, the monopolies, and the hidden ethical dangers. It is a fascinating and urgent topic. Let us dive right in.
Historically, space exploration was a public effort. Think of the Cold War and the Apollo missions. Today, the dynamic has changed entirely. Private companies now drive the industry. We are entering a space-for-space economy. This means companies are not just building tools for Earth, they are building infrastructure to support life and business in space itself. The financial numbers are staggering. Experts project massive growth. The space economy could reach $2.7 trillion by the 2040s. This growth presents huge opportunities, but it also exposes a massive structural problem. Space is essentially a legal vacuum. Treaties from the 1960s govern our actions today. These old rules simply cannot handle modern corporate ambitions. Let me start with the most immediate physical problem: traffic and pollution. Right now, there are over 14,000 active satellites in orbit. There are also millions of debris fragments flying around. These objects travel at incredible speeds. A tiny piece of metal can easily destroy a valuable satellite. This destruction creates even more debris. This deadly chain reaction is known as the Kessler syndrome. Soon, critical parts of Earth's orbit could become completely unusable. This situation is a classic tragedy of the commons. Companies launch satellites to generate profit. They generally do not care about the collision risk they impose on other operators. How do we solve this? Technology alone is not enough. Companies like Astroscale want to clean up space debris. Using lasers or nets sounds great. However, cleaning the orbit is not a permanent fix. Companies will simply launch more satellites to fill the clean gaps. The best solution is an economic one. Researchers suggest an orbital use fee. Think of it as a carbon tax for space. By 2040, this optimal fee would be around $235,000 per satellite every year. This fee forces companies to carefully consider every single launch. It directly targets the real problem of economic incentives. Implementing this fee could increase the long-term value of the space industry to $3 trillion. Without it, we face an escalating disaster. Next, let us talk about resources. Who actually owns the moon or an asteroid? The 1967 Outer Space Treaty is very clear. No nation can claim sovereignty over celestial bodies. It strictly forbids national appropriation. The 1979 Moon Agreement tried to make space the common heritage of mankind, but major spacefaring nations simply ignored it. Furthermore, the 1967 treaty is completely silent on private companies. Today, countries like the United States, Japan, and Luxembourg have passed new domestic laws. These laws allow private citizens to mine resources in space and keep the profits. To support this new reality, the US introduced the Artemis Accords in 2020. The accords explicitly state a new rule: extracting resources is not national appropriation. They also create safety zones around lunar operations. Officially, these zones are meant to prevent accidents and harmful interference. Practically, they can keep competitors away. A company might claim a safety zone around a valuable ice deposit. This company essentially controls that resource. Critics argue this is a clever legal loophole. They view these safety zones as a form of de facto colonization. This brings me to a major economic concern: monopoly power. SpaceX completely dominates the current market. In 2023, SpaceX achieved 96 successful orbital launches. All of its US competitors combined managed only 7 launches. SpaceX also secured a $3.1 billion in federal contracts that year. This level of dominance is highly alarming.
Rivals are officially calling foul. They accuse SpaceX of predatory pricing. Peter Beck from Rocket Lab raised serious concerns.
SpaceX offers rideshare launches for small satellites at incredibly low prices. They charge around $5,000 per kilogram. Competitors claim this price is far below SpaceX's actual operating costs. The apparent goal is to drive emerging competitors out of business completely. Furthermore, SpaceX uses exclusionary contracts. Jim Cantrell from Phantom Space reported these aggressive tactics. SpaceX often forces customers to sign a right of first refusal. This legally stops customers from easily hiring rival rocket providers. The space industry already has massive natural barriers to entry. High fixed costs and long development times protect incumbents naturally. Adding artificial contract barriers creates a severe antitrust issue. We might see antitrust agencies take action against SpaceX very soon. Now I want to discuss the dark side of satellite networks. Private companies offer cheap or free global internet, but the real cost is your privacy. We are entering an era of 24/7 AI-driven surveillance from space. Modern satellite systems do not need to see your face. They use artificial intelligence to analyze broad patterns. They track thermal signatures, movement habits, and city traffic rhythms. Experts call these advanced systems predictive mirrors. On Earth, many countries have strict laws against AI surveillance. In space, those domestic laws simply do not apply. Private companies can easily collect this surveillance data. They can then sell it to foreign governments. This creates a massive and dangerous legal loophole. Many nations are extremely worried about this power dynamic. Countries like India and Japan are rapidly building their own independent space programs. They refuse to become tenants in someone else's orbital empire. They want to protect their own security and data. Let us shift our focus to space tourism and deep space colonies. Companies currently cater to the ultra-rich with suborbital flights. However, the safety regulations are dangerously weak. Passengers fly under basic informed consent waivers. This industry operates in a severe legal limbo. It deeply reminds us of the tragic Titan submarine disaster in 2023. If a tourist dies in space, who is legally responsible? The 1972 Liability Convention only holds sovereign states accountable. It does not properly address the actions of private companies. The situation gets even wilder when we look at Mars. Elon Musk wants to build a permanent colony on the red planet. Shockingly, Starlink's terms of service state that Mars is a free planet. This bold claim directly conflicts with established international law. Under Article VI of the Outer Space Treaty, states are strictly responsible for their private companies. A corporation cannot simply declare independence on another planet. The United States would still be held legally accountable for SpaceX's actions on Mars. Another overlooked issue is intellectual property. Pharmaceutical companies like Bristol Myers Squibb are currently testing medicines on the International Space Station. But what happens if you invent a groundbreaking drug in zero gravity? Whose patent laws actually apply?
Right now, legal jurisdiction depends on the national flag of the specific space module. But the future is very different. Soon we will have commercial space stations with no national flag at all. Imagine a luxury hotel on the moon called the Zillion Stars Hotel. A rival opens the Million Planets Hotel right next door. Where do you sue for trademark infringement? Your earthly trademarks mean nothing on the moon. Legal experts suggest a major reform. We must expand the Madrid Protocol to cover space jurisdictions. We might even need to create a dedicated outer space intellectual property office. We absolutely need these new systems to protect brands and ideas off-world. We also must urgently address the dual-use problem. Almost every single space technology has both commercial and military functions. A commercial rocket can easily launch a classified spy satellite. A weather satellite can provide data to farmers or to armies. Because of this threat, the US imposes strict export controls on space tech. These heavy rules actually hurt commercial growth. We need international rules of the road. We did this successfully for civil aviation decades ago. We can absolutely do it for space. Furthermore, we need a strong sense of ethics. The current Silicon Valley model prioritizes fast growth over safety and equality. We must shift away from strict utilitarian ethics. We must embrace virtue ethics. Engineers and CEOs need to build strong corporate virtues. They must prioritize human welfare over pure corporate greed. So, what is the final verdict? The United Nations is far too slow to pass new binding treaties. The consensus model is broken. Instead, we need fast bilateral agreements between allied nations. We need strict domestic laws to govern corporate behavior effectively.
Private space actors currently operate in a vacuum of sovereignty. They act a lot like new independent states. Therefore, we must hold them directly accountable to customary international law. We cannot let it become a playground for unchecked monopolies, careless pollution, and mass surveillance. We must update the rules right now. Thank you for watching this analysis. Please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Let me know your honest thoughts in the comments below. Would you accept free satellite internet if it meant constant surveillance from orbit? I will see you in the next video.